537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here along with KGB, Jeff Malinoff. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Back in the dust and crusted
news corner.
News corner is what we call it.
There we go.
Hey, folks. Wake up out there. I know it's Monday. I know that we basically, a lot of us had a kind of a sort of a 3-day weekend because we, got to work from home in our jammies or whatever. But very quiet on the super text line. I believe that, Wilson County is actually closed today for school. And so I think that a lot of people perhaps are sleeping in.
Oh, yeah.
I know the reason. There are some that are doing a delay start today.
Yeah, they're delays.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know someone that's like, they don't come until like 9 or 10 today.
And listen, if you heard that first segment, you know that my brain is also on a delayed start. Okay. I thought that was funny.
That was an applause line.
Well, no, I got to actually get a live cricket and just hold it up against the mic next time that happens.
Whatever. Anyway, so super text line is open, 615-737-9986. All right, so who did what in the snow? Here's what I did. You ready?
I saw your pictures.
We built snowmen.
Yeah.
And we had to convince Riker to build the snowman. Do you know what he wanted to do?
What?
He wanted to build a wall. And
Donald Trump needs him.
And I actually said to him, we need to get you into the Trump administration. And he looks at me like, what? Right? Leave it to me to politicize snow. But that's what I do. There wasn't enough for sledding. But we did.
I disagree.
Well, where you live in Manchester.
Yeah.
But we did have a bit of a snowball fight.
That's cool.
I, of course, came very close to throwing out my shoulder. But I also realized that I can't hit the broadside of a barn. Like, I tried to throw snowballs, and Riker's pretty big, for like an 11-year-old, and I just couldn't hit him. So anyway, that's what we did. And by the time that, but he hit me. He throws this snowball. I wasn't even there. Okay, I love Riker. I got to say that before I...
Where are you going with this?
Right.
Before I mention what he did. So I am down, and I get it. All's fair in love, war, and snowball fights. But he's quick. So I'm down, and I'm packing. You go down to get some snow in my hands. I go up. I stand back up. He is like 4 feet from me, and he just hits me right in the face.
You didn't get mad at him, did you?
And I said, no, of course not.
Snowball fights are ruthless, and you got to be prepared always. That's your fault, personally.
Yes.
I know it's my fault. Listen, he's 11. He's got me on like quickness and speed and agility and...
When he's 16, you're so in trouble.
Accuracy. When he's 16, I won't be out there with him.
Yeah.
He will break your nose.
He will, absolutely. So did anybody else have fun in the snow before we move on?
I went with my nieces and nephews, them sledding, but they sled like this. So they sled like they go down, but they go into like a diagonal because they're so light, And unfortunately, where they aim is for this giant tree going full speed. So I literally had to basically stand in front of a tree, making sure they didn't George of the Jungle.
That's a good idea.
That's what you got to do. Riker, a couple of years ago, people who have listened to the program a long time know, Riker yesterday, when we went sledding, it's amazing that kid has survived to 11 with me around. We went sledding, and he goes down our neighborhood hill right into a brick mailbox.
Oh.
Yeah. And he hit his head. And so we run down there, and of course, slipping and sliding all the way down. And I said, are you okay? I'm fine. And I'm looking for like a gash, a wound on his, because he literally hit his head while he was sliding. He was fine. He was crazy. And I'm silly enough to think that he's going to be thwarted by a snowball.
Yeah.
Anyway.
My son, one time, we were on a golf course. My son was probably 7 or 8 years old, flying down the golf course hill into the water.
Oh.
Yeah. Not good.
No, that's not good. Although there's a story out there today. Do you know what a guy did? I actually find this interesting, and I'm not entirely certain why he decided to do it. But there is a guy in the midst of all that snow, and he decided to take a plunge in Percy Priest, in that lake.
Oh.
Now, number one, you wouldn't catch me swimming in that lake in, the middle of summer. But yeah, it was really, really cold, obviously, on Friday. And dude just jumped into Percy Priest. His name is Cody Ekman. And he decided to jump in the frigid waters. And he says that, this is apparently good for your health. People have said that about taking those polar
The
plunges.
ice baths, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
I don't buy
thanks.
it myself.
I'll watch from a distance.
See, I'm afraid that I would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
That would be my luck, that I would have a heart attack.
You're supposed to do it after you work out. It's like, it kind of like helps with your muscles and like, instead, like, when you drink protein, it helps out because when you work out, your muscles tear, but not like in like microscopic.
See, that's
tears.
why I don't work
So,
out.
Microscopic
Good
tears.
plan, Dan.
But point proven. Anyways, but you go into the ice bath and it just kind of helps with the with just regaining that muscle strength, regaining just your stamina and everything.
All right, very good. The 10 Commandments. This is the headline from the Tennessean. New Tennessee bill would allow 10 commandments to be placed in public schools. I feel like we do this every year.
Yeah.
Like, have we... Like, super texters, check me on this. I feel like I've done this story literally every single year in the close to 11 years that I've been here at WTN. And they never pass it. Now, here's my official talk show host position on this. Put it in. Don't put them in. But do you really think that, and I'm just going to throw Memphis right under the bus because I can. So do you really think that, these kids in Memphis, they're not going to steal, they're not going to murder, they're not going to, all the things that are in the 10 Commandments. Do you really think that they're not going to do that just because it's placed in a school? Whether it's Nashville or Memphis or Wilson County, whatever. This is a family thing. If you want the 10 Commandments to be followed, then you as parents are the ones that need to teach the 10 Commandments. I don't know, and Joan, you may disagree with me on this.
I do disagree with you on this.
But I just don't think that this is going to be the end-all, be-all of how to fix kids.
It's certainly not the end-all, be-all, and I don't think that that's the aim of it, but it does...
reinforces it.
Normalizes seeing the 10 Commandments, right? Mm-hmm. Also, our laws are built on the 10 Commandments. So there's a basis. Our laws just didn't come out of the blue. This is how we were set to live by the Lord. And so, my goodness, that our laws are based on this. And I think that there's certainly a teaching moment there. It gives historical context.
Okay, now here's where I will disagree with myself. Because remember, I said put it in there, don't put it in there, whatever. But to me, this has to come from the parents. This has to come from the church. I'm all for putting it in there. But if you think this is going to fix the ills of society, I believe that you're wrong. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, I will also say, well, then, Joan, why haven't they done this yet? Like, again, I've been talking about this for years. The new bill says the documents should be displayed in a prominent location to educate students on the historical significance and common cultural heritage the documents represent for students, school, state, or country. The bill notes that schools who choose to participate will be given hard copies free of charge. And again, I think it's a fine idea. I don't think this is going to fix the ills of society. The ills of society are caused by lack of fathers in the household, lack of parents taking their kids to church, and not enforcing the 10 Commandments, and not, I hate to sound all preachy, but leading a biblical life.
Well, agreed. But having those, first of all, the 10 Commandments are not like being displayed for the first time ever. They were taken out of the schools at some point. Our schools did teach the 10 Commandments. Our schools did teach a biblical worldview until, what was it, the 1970s when, things just fell apart and there was so much such a push against Christians and Christianity and lifestyle, and the efforts to get rid of the nuclear family. My goodness.
And Joan, you just hit it. Like, see, for me, I'm all about the nuclear family.
Yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
dissolution of the nuclear family. That, to me, has absolutely obliterated and destroyed American society. It has.
Yep.
And you look at, and I've talked about this forever, but you look at the prisons. How many of those prisons are filled with people that didn't have fathers in the house?
Yeah.
That's the problem. So that's what I mean when I say I'm all for putting the 10 Commandments in schools. And if it maybe if it piques some curiosity in some of these kids, then I think that's great. But I just don't think this is going to be the I don't think this is going to be the key to fixing the problems that cities have. KGB, what do you think?
I mean, I grew up in a religious family, and I went to either synagogue or church, so it's tough to, again, I understand your point of, putting it up there. A kid's not going to walk by it and go, okay, I'm going to obey that with the rest of my life. I feel like if you can walk by it and then the kid asks the parents about it, hopefully the parents will give them the insight about the importance of the 10 Commandments. I think that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, that's what I said, the piquing of curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the plan. But again, having them removed, I think the reason they're trying to get it back is because it was removed. And now they're like, okay, we're trying to get back into this, going back to almost quote unquote normal, I guess is the right word,
7670 says, Dan, as a teacher, total freaking waste of time.
Oh.
That's what a teacher says.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I mean. That's what. Now, I went to a private school, so my vision here, my perspective might be a little off because the 10 Commandments were everywhere when I went to school at the private school. Going into the public school for junior high was quite the culture shock, as a matter of fact. So anyway, yeah, I am all for it. I think that parents and the churches, they are the ones that have to reinforce this. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of people that will scream about the separation of church and state and so on and so forth. So, but for me, I do believe it's a great idea. If this is what they're expecting to fix the problems we have, I don't think that's going to do it.
Well, here's an important question. Do we want our state government to go countless hours going on about this instead of other things that maybe need more time to look at?
Well, and here's the thing that I would ask, and maybe I'll ask Jack Johnson next time I can get him on, or Cameron Sexton, is this has been a conversation seemingly, I mean, probably not every single year, but I know that I've talked about this ad nauseum, which is why I'm probably not as interested in it as a topic today, because there's so much other stuff going on and it just never seems to go anywhere. But I would love to see it go somewhere, because I think that it probably could do some good. By the way, anybody here partaking in Dry January? You guys know what Dry January is?
No.
I already blew Dry January because I went to the Wilson's home and lovely Dawn made me some dangrias. So
Nice.
yeah. So, however, I also think that me and Amy are doing Dry January from 30 days from that Saturday night at the Wilson's house. So you guys partake in that at all?
I just go months without drinking. I just had a choice.
You'll just go months without drinking?
I don't drink.
Yeah.
Very
good for
rarely
you.
drink. Yeah, again, it's just what I grew up. I just always thought it was not necessary. Just family issues. Not my parents, fortunately, but just just the outskirts family members.
You know what? When you get older and life starts beating you down, you'll see how important drinking is.
Yeah, but yeah, I just never.
I didn't become an alcoholic until I turned 45.
Yeah, I didn't have my first drink until 21. So,
wow. Actually, okay. You know what? I didn't have my first. You know what? We can't do this now.
We can't.
8:35. Remind me to tell you how old I was when I actually had my first real drink. It will shock you. Joan, what's coming up?
Okay. So this is the week that President Trump's picks are being trumped up to Capitol Hill. Well, one of his picks, her confirmation hearing is being delayed. We'll tell you who it is and why. Also, there's a recall from Walmart to tell you about. Those stories coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.